Okay, so this is going to be the solutions for section one of the mock exam two. However, I wanted to try to do things different for this one. I'm going to actually see if I can. I want to practice using a Word, some type of writing program application. So I'm using Word to see if I can copy and paste into the College Board site. So we'll add that to this as well. In a long-term study of 3,462 randomly selected adults from Lausanne, Switzerland, researchers investigated the relationship between a weekly napping frequency and whether or not a person experienced an event related to a cardiovascular disease, CVD, such as a heart attack. The two-way table summarizes the data. In the sample, 4.5% of the people experienced a CVD event. To what population can this be generalized, and explain your answer? Okay, so first of all, there's my ID number. Here's my initials, and then we'll have to indicate that this is page one. Now, actually, since we're typing this in, I don't think the page one is even necessary because this will come. It'll just be a copy and paste into their document. We'll include that, and maybe that wasn't necessary either, but we're gonna put it there anyway. All right. So the question is, what population can we make a generalization for? And since the random sampling came from only adults living in Lausanne, Switzerland, that will result in the population generalization only being applicable for all adults in Lausanne, Switzerland. Okay. All right. So, and actually, another goof up there was that was part A. Okay. So that was simple enough. Enter, and so now we're ready for part B. Part B, this is going to be B1, BI. One person from a survey will be selected at random. What's the probability the person selected will be someone who reported taking at least 3 naps per week? You can leave your answer as an unreduced fraction. So back over here again, at least, what was it? At least 3 naps. So it could be 3 to 5, it could be 6 to 7. So it's going to be these two subgroups that we're worried about. Okay. And so that means that in this particular case, and again, remember in class, I made you write out a probability statement. The probability, it's only for me to make sure that you're going on down the right road, or that you know what to think about. In reality, we just need some work and an answer. Okay, so we know we have subgroup number 1, which is 411. To that, we're going to add subgroup number 2, which is 370. And this is where you have to pay attention to what we're doing, because if I just put divided by 3,462, this is the wrong math, because that's the order of operations is what we have to go by. So we need to make sure that if we're going to go ahead and type that in there, which we can, I don't know whether this is going to take up more time or not, but there it is. We're going to add the two subgroups together and divide by the total population. So if we wanted to reduce that, that turned out it's at 781 divided by 3462. Okay, it said we could reduce or leave that fraction if we wanted to, but if we divided that out, 0.2256. Okay, so again, it's just trying to come up with what you want to do to get your answer in. Today I'm practicing typing it into some program and getting it over. What is the probability that a person selected will be someone who has experienced a CVD event, given the person is taking at least 3 naps per week? You can leave your answers under distraction. So now again, this is a given. Now we can try to write this out. Yeah, probability of a CVD event given at least 3 naps per week. Okay, so if we want to, we can write out the probability statement. That's fine. But in reality, we have to. Uh-oh, didn't like that. Okay. So we know that we're only talking about the people that are taking the given condition is at least 3 naps per week. So we need that 411 and the 370. We need these two subgroups added together. Okay, so that's going to be my denominator, which I know from my previous problem to be 781. So now I'm only going to worry about the people having a CVD event in those two categories. So I need to add 22 plus 28. Okay, and we're going to divide that by the 781 total of the two categories. And again, that has wrong notation in it, so I got to make sure I put my parentheses in here. I did post a document for typing notes or something of that nature. I would encourage you to look at that as far as in Canvas and posting that link. Anyway, this is going to turn into then 50 divided by 781, which then turns into 0.064. Okay, so we've answered that part of that question. Question, what's my next question? Question C. So we're ready to move on to question. I actually there we go. Question C. Let the P sub F, the proportion of people who have experienced a CVD event among those in the population, report frequent napping. Let P1 be the proportion of people who experience a CVD event among the population who report infrequent napping or less than 2. So a 95% confidence interval for the difference is made and found to be given. One condition for constructing that confidence interval is the number of people who experience a CVD event and the number of people who did not experience a CVD event in each of the two groups is at least 10. Explain why this is necessary. Okay, so here's my answer for C. Okay, so again, we have to think back to, we're talking about proportions, and we're deciding that each subgroup has to be greater than or equal to 10, at least 10. So why was that necessary? And we have to think back to our test. When we do the conditions, we're talking about a random sample, okay, of subjects, which is what we have. The next one is approximately normal, and the last one's independent. So, but remember, random and approximately normal are my two key ones. So this is probably tied into that, which it is. Okay, so the condition is necessary because we need to know if the distribution of, and again, so we have P sub F and what is that? I can't even read that. P sub T, P sub infrequent. Oh, frequent, infrequent. P sub I is approximately normal. To meet this condition, all subgroups must be greater than or equal to 10. All right. So, if we continue that out further, that means that N F times, oops, I don't know what that did there. Do we need any more on this one? NF, or N of frequent. I was going to change that to a capital N. I wish I could turn off, so one, oops, there we go. So it's greater than or equal to. That's how we're going to do the greater than or equal to 10. We have the NF one minus, and actually this is going to be P hat sub F. Then we have to do the same thing for the other one. So it's going to be Ni times P hat sub I is greater than or equal to 10. And lastly, wow. Okay, so I guess you can leave this up to yourself if you felt that was easier to type out than do that. I don't have a time. Right now we're sitting on 11 minutes, so we're doing just fine on time. All right, interpret the confidence interval. So D. So this goes back to the very where this is a confidence interval. It's already calculated for us. I would assume that if we're gonna, that skill will be exactly like it's pictured here. They're gonna give you the confidence interval and ask you to interpret that. So we are how confident? 95% confident. The true difference in proportion of people having a CVD event and taking frequent naps, and the proportion of people having a CVD event and taking infrequent naps is between 0.62% and 4.35%. And again, spelling is not going to be penalized for, but since I have it here, I'm going to go back and change it. We are 95% confident the true difference in proportion of people having a CVD event while taking frequent naps, and the proportion of people having a CVD event while taking infrequent naps is between 0.62% and 4.35%. So there we go. That was interpreting the confidence interval. And lastly, part E. In part E, even though the values of the confidence interval are positive, a cause and effect relationship between napping and CVD cannot be established from this study due to the possible confounding. Identify a confounding interval. Okay, so and then justify our answer. So age could be a potential confounding variable. Okay. It can be related to both variables. Older people might tend to nap more, and older people may also suffer more frequent CVD events. If both are true, it as well, younger people may take less naps and suffer less CVD events. With the lurking variable, it will be possible to link the naps and CVD events because age could be the factor, not naps. Okay, so again, I wanted to practice doing this. So we have options here. We could, if we wanted to, save this document. So I'm just going to practice saving this real fast. So I'm going to save as. I don't know if there's any, we're going to call this, we'll put it in my, I don't know where I'm going to put that. So I'll put review files since everything else is going in review files. Okay. And we're going to call this, I'll call it section 1. And I'm going to leave it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because, you know, with a number, it's going to end up at the top of my list. So we're going to leave it that way. So I'm going to hit save. And maybe it will do this. So again, that was, we're on 17 minutes. So I still have a ton of time. I could go back and I could go through my answers and make sure they are exactly the way I want it to be. Okay. But anyway, I'm going to open up my, Google Chrome. Remember, Google Chrome is the preferred browser to use for this. I am at the AP 2020 exam. This is something you would have done ahead of time, but I didn't have enough time to type up my answer. So in this case, again, this is the practice one. So therefore the 8-letter character is practice, but this is what you would have done ahead of time, except you would have clicked the link in your email and you would have gone to the site, entered your ID, and you would have gone through the security check and you'd have been waiting. However, in this case, this is just the demo site. So your exam has started. I'm going to continue. Okay. So again, this is stuff that would have happened ahead of time, but I wanted to have my answer ahead of time. All right, so we'll continue through that. And again, this is where I couldn't do this beforehand because, you know, you've been given 10 minutes to read the following. We could review this. Okay. All right, so I can attach, and I forgot that I went in here earlier and did this, so maybe that's why this is doing this. But if I click attach response, I can attach a photo or I can attach a text file. So somewhere it's going to tell me that I should be able to browse for that. Include your AP ID and your initials at the top of the page, so that has to be there. You can only attach one text file per exam question. It does have some file. Notice that the file formats, okay, are there. So I still don't know why I can't. Did I open this with my phone last time? Oh, browse for file, man, if I would just read. So browse for file, so then I know I saved that in my review files. We're gonna see that there's that 1, 2, 3, here's my TED section 1, So I could double click this and go with that, except I didn't want to do that because I wanted to practice doing it the other way. So I'm going to go back to the question. I want to paste a response. So I'm going to come over here to my answer here. We're going to come down here. We're going to select all. Probably easier just to select all. We're going to copy that. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste that into here. So there's my answer. Notice, and again, it's grayed out because I can't actually do that. We're going to hit submit response. And yes, I will not be able to return, I know. Okay. And that came up because, again, I didn't realize that I hadn't completed my demo that I did the other day. So that's why it came up on question 2. So if you want to, you can keep practicing. But anyway, that was an example of how we would do that with a Word document. So we'll leave it at that. Have a great day.